All right, welcome back to Genius. So this is our day 9, and after this class, our day 10 will be developing or designing the landing page I showed you guys in the last class. So, and this is a boot camp, and that is why um, we don't actually have the time because we are compressing everything in 100 days. It's actually a good one. This is a very good start that you can, at the end of this whole 100 days, you can actually start applying for jobs as a front-end developer. But the thing is that you will need more knowledge, you will need more skills, you need more experience. So you need to read the books that we have recommended to you. And again, we also have HTML and C. We have HTML course from beginners level to advanced on a separate course, but that one is self-paced. And we take more time to teach most of these things. Most of these things you're saying here, we break them down into smaller chunks and take time to teach them. Okay. But because of this is a boot camp, it's in 100 days, we have to try our best to rush it. But in as much as we are doing that, we're also trying to teach you what you need to know. So, but you would have to do more by reading those books. All right. A lot of books that we have recommended for you to read. So, transitions and animations. Okay. You'll be reading chapter 16 of the Docket and Robbins chapter 13. Okay. So the topics we'll take a look at is the transitions. We'll take a look at transition and transform. We'll take a look at animation. We cannot cover this concept. These two concepts are very big. We cannot just cover them in a lesson like this. Okay. So these books would help you expand your knowledge, and of course, you don't need to be 100% good with this, but with a few things we are going to show you, can see how you can do some animations and some transitions on your web page that will make users to feel good. So at the end of your assignment will be to create, you add a hover effect to your navbar links. Okay, so when you hover your navbar, some effects should come into play. So you can also animate a heading to fade in on page load. So you're going to see how to do these things here. Okay. So, why transitions and animations? All right, in modern web design, animations and transitions, they make UI feel alive and interactive. Imagine when a user hovers over a button, all right, they see some kind effects, all right. It's just amazing. It makes the UI looks good. It provides visual feedback to users. It improves user experience, and it highlights some important elements. So it is something you need to be very good at. All right. It is not really needed. If you check our website, we do not have any animations or transitions in there. All right. It doesn't mean that your website will not still do what you want it to do, but at least it will add some effects. So they are used for buttons. All right. They are used for modals that can fade in and fade out. They are used for sliders and carousels. They are used for loading spinners. Okay, micro interactions like toggles or notifications. So there's just sweet things you can do with transitions and animations. So with transitions, now look at it. A transition is as simple as, when you want to make a change. Let's say you want to and you have an element and you want to change some properties of this element. Let's say you want to change the property from red, the background color from red to green. All right. If you want to change it from red to green, normally the whole thing will just go from red to green. But you can add some transitions that will have some effect, and it will take some time to get from red to, just like the Indian movies. In the Indian movies has a lot of slow motions. All right. So instead of them to just add one thing, they will just do slow motion and be dulling your brain. I don't know. I hate that. I hate watching Indian movies. It does my brain. Okay. So now with transitions, you can actually make a change in an element's property to transit. All right. They can just fade in or fade out. They will have this kind of effect. So transitions let you change CSS property values smoothly over time instead of instantly, from red to blue. But you can go from red to blue. Do you understand? So transition helps you with that effect. So first of all, you have your selector, then you have this transition property. you have the transition property, then the values will be here. So you'll be seeing how to do this. Okay, we'll have some examples on how to do this. So if I want to make a particular transition from one property to another, I could actually use, this is the syntax. Okay, so there are some properties we need to take a look at, but let's go and try something out. Okay, let's go and try something out. And most times these transitions, they might need triggers. They will need triggers. All right, they need triggers. So something has to happen. Let's say a user hovers over the button or hovers over the element. Something needs to happen. An event needs to happen for this transition to come into play. Okay, so we would let's take an example. Okay, so if I go to my day 9, okay, so let's assume that we have okay, so let's say we have a button. Let me create a button here. I have a button. It could be anything. It could just be anything. So it could be any element, but not, it could be any element. Okay, so I have this button. I will say hover me and change my my background color. All right. So now I don't know if my background is correct, but it doesn't matter. So I'll go to my CSS. Then I'm going to target. I'll take everything out here. Okay. So I'm going to target the button. I will target the button element. Okay, and I will say that the button, the background color is, let's say, red. Okay, then I could just say transition. I could say transition. So what property of this element do I want? We have a if you want all the properties of this particular element to be doing transition, you can say all, but you can actually say, okay, I want the background color. I want the background color, okay? Then I would want the duration of this transition. Let's say I want it to be 3 seconds. And then now the property and what's it called again? And the duration is required. You must provide these two values, the property that you want to transit and also the duration of the transition. You can also go with, there's another one. Before we go into the properties, I would, let me just take a look at it. Um, we have the duration, we have the timing function, and we have the delay. Okay, so let me go and let me do the timing function. I will come back to explain the timing function. I can just say is in, is out. Now, the thing is this. There's a lot of properties and a lot of values and a lot of things there. So you will need to read these books to see more of them and practice them, play around with them. So now, but for this to happen, all right, this transition, now look at it. If I go over to the browser, nothing would happen. There will be no transition until an event happens. So if I go on now, if I go to the browser, the background color will just be red. Do you understand? The background color will just be red. So there's no transition, nothing is transiting. So I need to make that transition work by, let's say if I take my mouse over the button, then the transition can come into play. So I can now go, after you have declared this transition property on the element, you can say, okay, for the button, whenever the button, if there is hover, okay, whenever user hovers over this button, what do I want to do? I want to change the color from red to blue. So now this is where the whole thing will make sense now. So look at it. Look at it very well. You have an element that you want to perform some effects on, and maybe you want to change the background color. All right. So the initial background color is red. All right. That's what we have given here. So, but you want some transitions to happen whenever the background color changes. So we say, what property do we want this transition to occur on? Is the background color. Now, what is the duration? How long will this transition happen? Is it going to be instant or will it take some time? So that's, we say 3 seconds. And then what is the timing function? The timing function is more of how does it, how does this transition go? Now with the ease in, ease out, it will slowly start and speed up and slowly ends. So I can't explain everything here. I can't. There is just a whole lot to explain. So when you read these books, you get to understand more. And I can't even remember everything. Okay. So when I save now, I go to the browser. So once I hover, look at it. You can see the effect. I take it out. It has, you see, from red to blue, from blue to red. So that is in, is out. So you see, I go over. You see, it did not just go from red to blue. No, it took some time. Then from the blue was from the red. There were, it was as if they were okay. Let me increase the duration so that you will see the effects more. Okay. I will increase the duration. Let's say I increase the duration to 5 seconds. All right. I'll go back to browser. So look at it. If I take my mouse over this button, it comes into play. You can see, look at the way it's taking time to change, even from red to purple, something like that, and gets to blue. All right. And if I take my mouse out of it, it goes back. Do you understand? So there's just a lot to do here, and I can't explain everything here. Okay, especially when we are doing this thing on a single class like this. Normally, all right, if you go to normally on our platform, we take time to explain things, and that is why this is not self-paced. All right, so if you would want to learn more about CSS or even learn more about all the things that you'll be learning here, if you do want to learn more about them, okay, you can take any of the self-paced courses that we have so that you can take your time to learn more. But with what we are teaching you here will be enough for you to apply for a job and go for interviews. Okay. All right. So now let's take a look at some of the properties. Okay. So when you go with the transition, all right. So there are a lot of things you have to provide the property that you want to animate. You have to provide the duration of this animation. You have to provide the timing function. It defines the speed curve of the transition. All right, the timing function defines the speed curve of the transition. Is it just going to do boom, or would it start slowly and speed up, then ends slowly? Do you understand? So there are just a couple of them. We have ease. By default, it is ease. If you don't provide this value, it is going to be ease by default. But we have ease in, ease out. We have ease in, out. We have ease in, we have ease out. So then the delay is that how long will it take for the transition to start? All right. When you hover your mouse on the button, how long will it take for the transition to start? So that is the delay. Okay. So we have done something on the button like this. Okay. We have done something on the button. And there's another thing called transform. Okay, so when we transform, okay, you can, I don't think, we don't have enough time for me to explain or talk about transform here, but when you read the book, you're going to understand transform better. Okay, so transform can actually rotate an element, it can scale it, it can make it have skew. There is just a whole lot, okay? There's just a whole lot. So you can actually transform. Right, you can see here we on this transition property here, we have two values. So that means you can have more than one. You can do transition on an element for more than one property. Here we are doing transition for background color, and here we're also doing transition for there is a CSS property called transform. All right, so we're also doing transform here. So on hover, the background changes and the button grows slightly. Okay. So the transition shorthand, instead of transition property, Okay, so you can actually, apart from if you don't want to use the shorthand, you can spread them like transition property, transition duration, transition timing function, transition delay. So if I don't want to do this now, I can say instead of saying transition, this is the shorthand. But if I want, I can just say transition property. Okay, so it's going to be only background color. All right. So if you don't want to use the shorthand, you can say transition duration. All right. I can say 5 seconds. You can say transition timing function. Okay. That's ease in, ease out, or you can see these different values that you can have here. By default, it is ease. It can be ease in or ease out, or ease in, ease in, ease in out. Okay, so you can also add the transition delay. All right, you can also add it. Okay, say I want this thing to take like 2 seconds before the transition would come into play. So with all this now, look at it. If I go back to the browser, everything still makes sense. But now look at the moment I take my mouse over it, it will not start, the transition will not start immediately. It will take 2 seconds. So look at, watch my mouse. My mouse is there now and the transition have not started. You see, it has started now. So it took some time because we said we wanted to delay for some seconds. All right. So it took some time for it to get there. All right. So transition background, you can have the shortcut like this. All right, the transition. So you give the property, the duration, the timing function, and the delay. You can just have it like that. All right. So what properties can transition? It's not all the properties of an element can transition. All right, colors can transition, dimensions, width, height, padding can transition, position can transition, transformations can transition, transformation can transition, opacity can transition. All right, so not all CSS properties are animatable. Like display is not animatable. You cannot animate the display property. So let's take a look at some. Let's do this example. Let's do fading card. All right. But in this example here, we were supposed to use JavaScript to do this fading, but you can actually use JavaScript to, let's say, maybe instead of the hover, you can actually use JavaScript to do something with it. But since we have not taught you JavaScript, so we'll not be doing that now. But I'm going to find another way to do this. So we're going to have a box, a card, and the opacity is going to be 0. That means it's not going to be okay. Definitely, we'll need JavaScript to make this thing happen. So the opacity is actually 0. That means on page load, this card will not be seen. All right, it will not display. But once there is a class added to this card, then the opacity will not be 1. So from 0 to 1. The CSS opacity is how much of it should be shown on the screen. So it can go from 0 to 0.1, 0.2, 0.9 to 1. Okay, so but when opacity is 1, it is opaque. Like I don't know how to make it. Now the opacity has to do with the opaqueness of of the element. Okay, so for us to do this now, we need some JavaScript. So let me just show you. I think some of my code here didn't. Okay, so I'm going to take everything out. Okay, let me leave this button. Okay, let me still leave this button. But now I'm going to say the opacity of this button is 0. That means on page load it will not be available. And then I want to transition. Okay, I want to transition opacity. That is the property I want to transition. And I want the duration to be like 5 seconds. And then I want it to ease in, ease out, ease in out. And then I don't want to delay, so I will not add the last one. Then when this button is, of course, because the button will not be available, will not be visible, we cannot do hover. So maybe we can just add a class. So on adding a class to, oops, I can say show as the class. On adding a class name show, something can happen here. So we'll just change the opacity from 0 back to 1. I hope you guys understand what I'm doing here. If you don't, ask question. None of you guys are asking any question in the WhatsApp group. Maybe you guys understand everything I do here. I hope it's not out of laziness that you're not asking questions, but it's okay. So I will save now, but nothing would happen. Look at it. If I go to the browser now, the button will no longer be available. Oh, sorry. Okay, so okay, see, I refresh the page on page load. Not okay. Let me just close this browser and let me start afresh. Let me load this thing afresh so that on the page load, the button opacity is set to 0, so you cannot see anything here. You will not see anything here. So we need to okay, we need to do something. We are just bringing in JavaScript into this thing, and I don't know, I don't like bringing in something I have not taught into play. So, but what will happen is this. I'm going to have another button. Okay, I've started this example already, so I'm just going to continue with it. I've started it already, so I'll just have to finish it. Okay, so I have some JavaScript code here. Don't bother asking me what we are doing here. Okay, so okay, I'll say hover me. So on the hover of this particular button, okay, so I will have an ID here. If you don't understand what I'm doing, no problem. Don't ask, please. I would say BTN, okay, and then I have to change my CSS. I have to change my CSS. So I'm going to go with the button that is BTN. So I'm using the ID BTN. The opacity should be 0. And then if this button that is BTN gets is a CSS class to it, then okay. So now, but all right, this is fine. So I'm going to now, okay, okay. All right, so let me do something. I hope I'm not confusing you guys. I just hope. So I will have a div. I'm going to have a div. Let me make this thing div. Okay, I'll have this div, and then I will have div and this thing. Then I would come here and I will add a div here, and then I will close my div. Okay. If you don't understand what I'm doing, don't panic, please. So I will go back and this is my div. All right, I would give it a width of 200 pixel and a height of 200 pixel. Then I'm going to give it a background color of, let's say, red. So of course, this will not be shown on the page. It will not be shown on the only the button that will be shown. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to use JavaScript to create something else. So on the hover of, I will get the button, get elements by ID. So I'm going to add ID here. I'll just say BTN. Okay. So I'll say BTN, not my button. So the thing is that for your for your animation for your animation to come into play, sometimes you need a trigger, you need an event. So right now I have gotten my button, and then I will also get my div. So this div, I will give it an ID of div. So, and like I said, if you don't understand what I'm doing here, don't bother. I don't even know why I went into this 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 example. So now, but don't worry, in our JavaScript, we're going to learn DOM manipulation. What I'm doing here is DOM manipulation using JavaScript. So say on mouse over of this, I want to get this div, and I will add the class, I will add show to it. Yes. So don't bother if you don't understand what I'm doing here. I don't know why I even went into doing this example here. So on mouse leave, I want to remove the class show. So I will save. So I'll go to the browser now. On what the code I've written in that JavaScript says that whenever I take my mouse over this button, and find the div that is that we are not saying here, that the opacity is 0. Find it, then add the class of show. Remember, in that class show, we said that the opacity should be 1. So look at it. As soon as I hover, you can see, the div has come alive. But if I take it out, it goes back. Look at it. Look at it. You can see. So there is just a whole lot to do here. For me, I don't even use this. I don't even use this. Okay. I'm not that I don't do things like this, but it is a skill you need to have. So it can be fun. It can be fun. When you have enough time to develop your application, it can be fun to do stuff like this. But I'm the only developer of this platform for now. So I don't have time for all these kind of things. So you can see we have added something like this using JavaScript and the opacity, whatever here. So it can be a lot to grab. It can be a lot to grab. But like I said, it is with practice. And when you read these books, you get to understand better. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to throw the question at us. Okay? All right. So let's talk about CSS animations. Okay? We'll be working with keyframes. And, I don't know how to explain these keyframes, but instead of, when we said opacity from 0 to 1, it was just from 0 to 1. We could actually say, okay, when the opacity is on the transition is from 0% to 100%. So 0% means that the transition have not started, but when it is 100%, that means the transition has ended. It is as if you're going from one bus stop to another bus stop. So when you're waiting for a bus to enter, you're at 0%. When the bus is in transit, all right, the percentage is increasing and it is getting to 100. So that is what we use keyframes for. See, this thing is somehow not beginners friendly. I have to tell you this. And moreover, you don't even need this to even, but it is something you should be aware of. Okay. So now, animations allow multi-step transitions between styles using keyframes. Okay. So you transition from one bus stop to another bus stop. So we can watch your progress, 0%, 20%. So you can say at 0%, nothing happens. At 20%, change the color to blue. At 50%, change the color to green. Do you understand? So you can actually do something like that. So unlike transitions, animations don't require a trigger. Animations don't require a trigger. They can loop infinitely. All right. They can define multiple stages. There's just a whole lot to discuss here. Okay. But of course, we can't talk about everything here. So please make sure you read these books. So what is the basic syntax? So the thing is this, you will use the at keyframes. All right. Then you will give it a name. You give your keyframe a name. This one is says sliding. All right. Then when you give it a name, then you can now say, okay, at 0%, what style do you want it to perform? At 100%, what style do you want it to perform? I'm sorry we didn't talk about this transform property, the translate S and the translate Y. But if you read the book, you're going to understand better. So, but we just go on with the example. So what we are saying here, we are saying that when this sliding keyframe is as transition is at 0%, perform this property of this element that is transformed, make it translate as minus 100%. So it's going to slide in, okay? And when it is at 100%, let the translate as be 0, okay? So then there is an there is another then there is a class here. So this class now, so any element that has this class will be taking this keyframe. You can see we are saying the sliding is the name of the keyframe, and what's the duration, how long do you want this animation to go on, and the timing function, okay, the delay, okay. Then we have other things here that we'll still talk about. So now let's go and show you something. Let's go and do this keyframe. We are 0% is 0% is translate S minus 100%, while the 100% is translate S. Then we do animation, sliding, duration, and stuff. So let's go and just try some example here. So I already have a boss. So this boss, I wouldn't want to, I already have a boss that is, let me remove this transition, and I will remove the opacity and the transition as well. Okay. And then let me just have, um, okay, I think I'll still have to work with this. Then I will have this class, I'll call it slide. Okay. And when it's sliding, what do I want? Okay, I would want animation. But before I finish this my animation, okay, you can see it giving me some intelligence here. So before then, for me to use this animation, I'll have to create a keyframe. This is not something you have to learn in a hurry. All right, it's not something you have to learn in a hurry. So my keyframe will be sliding. Okay, and at 0%, what do I want to perform? I want to perform this transform property, and this transform property, I want to use translate S. Okay, and then I'll say minus 100%. Then I would not say 100%. Is there any comma there? I don't think so. I don't think there's any comma. All right, there's no comma. There's no comma there. So the syntax, okay? So there is no, sorry, there is no semicolon here. So now at 100%, I want it to transform back to 0. So I will say translate S. This thing is very beautiful if you really know how to do it. Although it takes time to actually create all these things. So I want to take it back to 0. So now what will be, I have created my keyframe sliding, and these are the properties at 0%. Any element that is using this keyframe, they will transform from at 0%, they will transform from X, translate S minus 100%, and when it is 100%, they will translate back to 0. So here, the name of this keyframe is sliding. All right, what is the duration? Visual Studio Code is helping me here. I want it to translate for 5 seconds. All right, so what is the timing function? I want easing out. Okay, and the delay, maybe I don't want any delay. Then I don't want any delay, so I will just say delay is 0. Okay, so iteration count, although we'll talk about these properties, but iteration count is how many times do you want this animation to repeat? So I can just say infinite. Okay, so that means it will go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So what is the direction? I would also say the direction should be, what's the direction again? Alternate, yes. And then the fill mode, I'll talk about this fill mode later on, but I could just leave the fill mode out. But I could just go with forwards, but I will explain it when we talk about the properties. So with this now, you see, animations don't need any event to kick in. So what if you want any element you want this animation to apply to, all you have to do is to add this class slide to that element. So I don't need this JavaScript anymore. All right, I can comment it out. I don't need it anymore. And then I have my div here. So I would want this um, animation to be applied on this. So I'm going to add the class the class name is what again? Slide. Okay, so look at it. As I save, we go to the browser. Look at what will happen. Oh, I have an error somewhere. Sorry about that. I have an error. Okay, so my I'll take this thing out entirely. Okay, I save. Something is not quite right. I think I have an error in my code. Okay, so let me fix it. Let me fix it. So I have my transform, um, animation sliding, using infinite, alternate forward. Let me just take a look at the syntax here. I think my syntax has 100, transform. um, okay, so I think um, sliding. I'm just checking for typos. Where did I get it wrong? Transform. Okay. Where did I get it wrong? I'm looking at my code. I'm looking at my code. So this is supposed to be coming back and forth, but it's not happening. It's not happening. What's wrong with my code? My class is slide. Mhm. Sliding. Um, oh, okay. I'm trying to debug my code. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me take a look at this bouncing ball. Um, uh, eh, okay. Just you guys should be patient with me. Let me figure out why this is not working. This is my class. This is my. Okay, I think I will have to leave it. Okay, maybe we should talk about it in our live class because if I keep on looking for the error here, we might not get to where we are going to. So, I don't like giving up on errors like this, but if I'm here, we might not live here today. So, okay. Oh God. 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 Okay. Okay, let me try the bouncing ball. Let me try the bouncing ball example. I will come back to 0%. I think this is correct. It's just how am I applying this? Okay, so ooh, I like this. Hmm, okay, I did this thing before. I can't even find where my error is coming from. So we have a couple of example properties here. The name of the animation, that's the name of the keyframe, the duration, the timing function, the delay. Then iteration count is how many times would this animation occur? Okay, you can say one time, two times, three times, or infinite. So when it is infinite, it will just be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So then the direction. The direction is the animation flow. Do you want it to, the normal flow is that it will flow from left to right, that's forward, okay? Or it can alternate back and forth, okay? So there are common, like I said, when you read this book, you get to see more of these properties and their values. The fill mode is, now, the fill mode is when the animation or the element is inactive, what happens? It could be inactive before it starts the animation, it is inactive. Then after the animation ends, it also be inactive. So what do you want to happen? Okay, there are a couple of values there, the forward, okay, there is a backward, and there is none. Okay, so there's just a whole lot of these properties. There is a whole lot of properties when it comes to this animation. So now, so let me change this to, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm just going to add my slide. Okay, then I'm just going to copy this code. I'll copy this code so that I see I don't make many. Okay, I'll copy that code and then I do this. So now I'm going to add this bounce to the button. So all I need to do is to add a class to this button. So now I would add the class ball to this button. So it should be bouncing up and down, up and down. So I hope, all fingers crossed, that we don't get, look at this one is working now. So I don't know why the other one didn't work. You can see up and down, up and down. So what we are doing here is that we said, look at what we said here. Um, we said we are creating a keyframe. We want to create an animation, and the name of this animation is bounce. Okay, that's the name of the keyframe. So we said when it is at 0% and also when it's at 100%, we want the translate y transform to be 0. That means it to be at the top. But when it is 50%, which is halfway, it should be minus 50 pixel. I'm so sorry that I didn't explain to you guys this transform property. It's just a lot. This transform is actually another class of its own. It can take us time, so that's why I was not talking about it. But you can please look out for it, read up. You will get to understand better. So the whole thing is bouncing, and we say that the count is infinite. So bounce is up and down. So this animation is happening, okay. And we said is that's the we are using the keyframe name here, bounce. We are using the duration 1 second. So if you want it to be faster, let's make it faster. Let's make 0.1. Let's make it faster, 0.1 second. You can see it's very fast now. Okay, so this can be interesting, can be very, very interesting, can be very, very interesting. So I don't know why the other code didn't work, but um, I might take a look at it later on. So you see the animation, the shorthand, we have name, we have duration. That's this name is the keyframe name that you created, the duration, the timing function, the delay, the iteration count, direction, the fill mode. And examples can go like here, we're using fading. The duration is 2 seconds. This fading is the keyframe you created. We are using the timing function. We're using is. The delay is 0 seconds. Or maybe, oh my God, is it that because okay, wait, guys, it's like because of I think I will take my code back. Let me go back. Let me try this again. I don't like giving up when I'm writing code like this. So pardon me if this is too long, please. Let me take my code back. I'll take my code back and see. It could be that instead of adding 0 seconds, I just went and just said 0. So it could be the source of I think I'm here. All right, so let me try again. Let me just try again. So instead of 0, I would say 0 seconds. That's the delay. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see if it is the reason why it didn't work. It's supposed to work. It's supposed to work. So I'll go back, then I will add slide. Okay, there's still slide here. So I'll go back. Let's see. Oh my God, it didn't work. Okay, okay. I don't know why. I don't know why. The other one is working, but this one is not working. But it's okay. I give up. Okay, so but I will figure it out. So if any of you want us to, if you want me to repeat this, if you want me to show you maybe where the error was coming from, drop it in the WhatsApp group so that we can do it. So these are the common timing functions you can use. We have ease, we have linear, we have easing. They're just too much. It's just too much. So when you practice, all right, you can actually see if you want to create animations on your page, it's going to take a lot of time. So make sure you have enough time, but it's actually fun anyways. It's actually fun. Okay, so the timing function controls the speed curve of the animation or the transition. Okay, so what are the best practices? Use animation sparingly. Don't use it too much. Too much can overwhelm users. Don't just because you know how to do animation, you cannot be doing animation anyhow. No. Prefer transform and opacity for performance because your computer GPU is what is being used to do all this graphic thing, all this animation. So if the user's GPU if the user is not using a very good phone or a very good system, it can affect performance. So avoid animating expensive properties like width, height, top, left. So just don't use this in every time, but it's just a good thing to have, a good skill to have in your skill set. Okay. So I'm going to force you guys to be asking questions. You see this exercise, eh? I'm not going to do it here. If you want us to do this exercise, go to the WhatsApp group. Same, tell me that you want us to do these exercises. So the first exercise is fade in test on load. All right. Animate a loader. So create a circle loader that spins infinitely. All right. So if you want us to do this, these are amazing. I would love to do these exercises with you guys, but I'm not going to do it here. You guys are being lazy. Nobody's asking questions in the WhatsApp group. So you can also do sliding menu. It is this sliding that I was trying to do now that didn't go well, but don't worry. Don't worry. I'm going to, if you want us to do this, drop it in the WhatsApp group so that we can do a live class on it. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. This is the last class in this phase one. So the next class we'll be creating our landing page. So it could take a longer time. So we'll be breaking it. So thank you very much. I will see you in the next session.